So we start the meeting, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Callahan? Here. Houston?
Here.
Hannah?
Here.
Kurtz?
Here.
Buchater?
Here.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen? Here.
Okay, motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is public comment. Nobody? All right, we'll move on. Consent agenda. So motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the bills?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, I don't, oh, there it is. A motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, roll call?
I don't need a roll call.
Don't have to have roll call?
I mean, I can do one if you want, but I don't need it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the other next items are for your information, the financials, revenue expenses. We'll move into resolutions. The first is a resolution expressing intent to provide economic development support to U.S. Freedom Farms, Inc.
If you have a motion and a second, we have some folks here to visit with us.
All right, I entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, okay, then we'll,
We do have some folks here to give you a little bit more background on U.S. Freedom Farms and what they're looking for.
Hello, I'm Bill Ludwig. I'm from Waterloo, been there all my life, graduated from UNI, and so the community and state of Iowa is very important to me. And so I got together with a group that we were growing hemp. In fact, we had some of the farmers in this area that we grew with hemp this last year. The state contacted us, and they wanted us to come down and advise them on how we can make hemp more of a staple in the state of Iowa. Because one of the things that it's switching to now, all the states around us are going to industrial, okay? I've laid some of the information with you guys on what industrial is. I mean, industrial's been around for a long time. In fact, back in World War II, Iowa was a huge industrial growing state, and it made rope during the war, okay? So now what is going on is that hemp is not only making for ropes, but they're actually going to be creating for clothes. They create wood out of it. You can create paper. You can create actually rebar out of it. It makes steel, okay? And the other thing that is going to be really big is hempcrete, okay? You can put part of the plant and one substance of the plant in the concrete. And because that is in there, it doesn't disintegrate like a lot of our roads do now. So it makes it stronger and last longer. And one of the things that I'm sure everybody has seen is when that Pennsylvania bridge went down. Pennsylvania is the second worst state in the United States as far as roads and bridges. Iowa's number one, okay? So the rebar will actually not disintegrate, it doesn't rust, and I apologize, I can, give you examples, but it doesn't rust. So then that makes the road stronger, and we don't have the problem that we all know we all have around here in the state of Iowa with our bridges. So our goal is to create a plant in the city of Independence, okay? We do now have an agreement with the guy that owns the old Monsanto plant, okay? So we do have an agreement with him to buy that building and the land around it. So we feel that this could be the first industrial plant in the state of Iowa, okay? The state is behind us because they also want to see, because they know that Iowa, come on, folks, we're the best at growing every state, you know? And I really believe that the farmers around this area are great at what they do, you know? And we can grow this stuff. It can make money for the farmers, okay? We would buy the crop from the farmers. We would put it into the plant. We would go into fiber, and you'll see there's some, there's one of the charts here on a 3-year plan, okay, going from 5,000 to 7,500 to 10,000. It can create a lot of money, okay? And I grew up, or actually one of my last jobs I had was dealing with financial advising, okay? And one of the things that when I was doing that I said that when I get employees, I want to have the best for my employees, okay? I would like to have an agreement with one of the local daycare centers and provide daycare for our employees, okay? I want to provide 401k. I want to provide health insurance. So I'm not going to go out there and just give jobs and pay them a low wage and not treat them good. That's not the way I do things, okay? So I want to create good, stable jobs in Independence. And the other thing is that I know that where this is going, this will not be the only processing plant in the state of Iowa. I want to create like 6 or 7, okay? But I always want, since I live in Waterloo, I want the headquarters for Freedom Farms to be in Independence, okay? And the other thing is, it's not just a processing. I want to create a manufacturing plant so that we can create not only the, you know, the fibers that go in the products, I want to create the end products, all right? Whether it's wood, okay? We can create wood, and then we do have over in Winthrop, we have a guy that, you know, makes wood and sells wood, okay? We could have enough wood made, and then wood could go all over the country, okay? And again, this community, I feel, can be a very, very important part of growing industrial hemp in the state of Iowa. And it's not going to take away, you know, I believe that in the state of Iowa, we can have a third crop. Right now, we do corn and beans. Okay, wonder if we had a rotational third crop, okay? And the other thing is that with hemp, it takes half the water that corn does to grow it. And you don't have to put all the pesticides on it, because when it grows, you do kind of like a broadcast spread, and it grows, you don't have to worry about the weeds on it. And then what you do is you cut it down and you bale it. That's how you know, so you don't have to have as many passes going over the ground. You don't have to have the herbicides, and it actually puts nutrients back into the ground, okay? So it's a plant that I feel would be good, and we can start a third crop right here in Independence. So one more thing I'd like to point out is that 1 acre of hemp can replace what 4 acres of woods would take to create paper, wood, so on and so forth. And we can grow it in about 90 days. So I believe it's also good for the environment, because we don't have to cut down the woods. We can make all these products out of hemp. So it's something that the state is behind. In fact, when we went down and talked to the Senator Committee, you know, we already have an application into the state, okay, to do this. But what we need is we need to know that the city of Independence is backing us too, because that's what the state wants to know. Do you have a community that is going to back you? Okay? In fact, Rick was one of our farmers. He's actually one of the owners of the company. And Rick, can you add to what I just said? Or? Okay. Well, Rick's the smart one out of the two of us, so I'm very passionate what I do. And again, I'm not only passionate about creating a third crop, but I feel that we can change lives.
When you say you do it every 90 days, so how many times a year do you do it?
What's that?
You said that this is for 90 days? So how many times a year do you?
It would just be one crop in the state of Iowa. Okay, it would be a seasonal crop because obviously, but the thing is that the other thing that we're also researching, and we're already talking to some farmers up in Minnesota too, that we could have a regional thing, so you have them bring their crop down to Independence and we process it here, okay? What does that do? Brings money from outside the area into our area. Okay, yes.
About how many jobs is this going to create?
Right now, we're looking at if with one line and one session or one, I'm trying shift, it would create jobs for about 8 people, okay? As we grow, I do believe in the next 3 years, we could create up to 50 jobs here in
wow.
Independence. Okay, and again, I'm not looking to do, if you kind of look at the sheet, let me see. I got too many papers. That I want to create jobs that, just a line worker, 20, even clerical staff, I want to go 15 to 20 and then increase it. So I'm not going to be creating low-paying jobs. I want to create jobs that people can make a living on, but also give them benefits, because I also want to provide to them health insurance and, like I said, daycare, because I think daycare can be a big thing, and that can be an expense that the company would also take.
Are
Anybody
they
else?
working
Mike?
yearly or seasonal then?
No, it would be yearly, because a lot of this stuff, once you bring the crop in, okay, it takes time to get it through the plant, okay? Right now, we do have a plant, so we can have some farmers start growing this year. We're looking at 2023 as far as, having a line up, but we do have a plant out of Sidney, Nebraska, and that company already has plants up and running. We're going to work with them on being a, what's the word I'm looking for, a counsel to us, again, this. But anything that we do grow this year, and we have farmers grow, they will buy at 33 cents a pound.
Okay, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, I spoke with a young man yesterday. He's in the area, Pat D. Up the road from you guys, Donnelly. He said that he talked to, I don't know if he talked to you or your brother. He said there's no market for it. He talked about, there's not a sufficient market
In the industrial?
either.
Well, there is, because obviously we have somebody that's buying it at 33 cents a pound, and we're going to have a contract
Okay.
for it. So, and they already have contracts now to take their processed, so.
He cited 5 or 6 other ones too. that
Yeah.
are growing it in the area and they were-
Well, no, that was CBD, okay. We were actually creating we already have people that, in fact, we're sending our CBD out to Tacoma and getting that processed, okay? But the industrial is something that is not growing in the state of Iowa right now, okay? So, yes, there is a market for industrial. In fact, the market is actually going to grow bigger, faster than what the CBD, because the thing with CBD too is that some of these processing plants are already out there. They grow their own stuff, okay? And one thing that what happened with CBD is it did great in 2018. 2019, it was overgrown, okay? So then all of it is backing off. In fact, what we're seeing right now is that CBD can be, you process it in the oil, and then you process it in the stuff that goes into the salves and all that, isolate, distillate and isolate. They're actually saying that the isolate is actually going to be doubling in price within the next 3 months because of the supply is getting so low. And so obviously supply and demand, it goes up. Now, the industrial is just a totally different type of thing, okay? And we are seeing more and more markets for the industrial. And that's kind of why that's the direction that we're heading, okay?
Let's say I grew 20 acres of industrial hemp, where do I sell it once I process,
Right now, I can sell for 33 cents a pound in Sidney, Nebraska.
So I'd have to haul it to Sidney, Nebraska to sell it?
Well, that's all included in the price too, of the 33 cents, It can be shipped over there. There's other people growing for Sidney, Nebraska this year. And like I said, we're counseling with them right now because they have already created the markets, okay? And so, in fact, right now, we're also working with a guy out of Texas that is already making the wood for it, okay? Over down in Missouri, there's 2 people down there that are making hempcrete in Missouri right now, processing and creating a final product of hempcrete. There's some over in Nebraska. There's in Illinois right now. They're doing the final product.
Concrete? Hemp
Yes.
concrete?
Yep.
Okay, I think
Yep.
we've
One
discussed.
question.
John?
You said you cut it. Is it like hay where you have to you don't have to reseed it or anything?
No, you have to reseed it
do
every
have to
year.
reseed,
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I think,
Brian has a
oh,
question.
I have one
Brian?
question as well. So will there be 2 gains from it? Obviously, you're talking the physical matter of the plant is what's being made, the hemp, the actual hemp. But will the CBD also be extracted from it prior to, it was my understanding, one of the farms I was associated with, that there was a harvest of the CBD bud, whatever it may be, then gone back through and cut the plant, bringing the material, whether it be for silage or
Right.
whatever it was used for.
It all depends upon how you harvest it, and that's what some of the testing that we're going to be doing this year, because there are seeds at the top. The fiber part of it that I put the numbers on here for is just 25% of the plant. It's also going to create hurd. Hurd is actually the product that goes into the hempcrete. Then it's also going to create seeds, okay? Those seeds can be made into oil, and we're also working with a processing plant out of Ankeny right now that would love to get those seeds that are going to be at the top. You can extract the oil, and that can be made into biofuel. So, there's many different products that can come out of this plant. I'm only showing income for one part of the plant.
Okay, anybody else? Al?
I just wanted to point out that the one thing that we're looking at tonight, this resolution of intent is just a resolution of intent. They need to know that there's backing from the city for their application to the state for funding. If you read the resolution carefully, it does give us the opportunity to modify, negotiate, I think is the term used in the resolution, as we move forward with this. What we are showing in this resolution is what we have done standard for a TIF incentive, 10% of development cost over 10 years based on their ability to produce increased tax revenue, property tax revenue on this site. So
Right.
it is meeting or matching what we have done historically, but at this point, it is subject to council final approval. Once the state funding comes through, they get their development
Exactly.
costs finalized. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think it's, every place starts in the first step, and you're getting in on the ground floor. There's been others that have tried it. They're having success. I applaud you for being willing to put your neck and your partner's neck out there. And I think it's something that would be great for Independence to be the first plant around.
I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. The only concern I have is that we have reached out as the city and helped other entities get started, and it's kind of come back to haunt us a few times. So I'm just wondering, do we have enough safety for our city funds?
Well,
As far as
ci-
if things don't go well?
Yes. In this case, the way it's set up is if they don't perform,
Okay,
we don't pay.
I like
In
that.
other words, it's a,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not asking for any funds up front because I'm sorry, Al, I didn't mean to.
no,
Yeah,
That was
it's a-
rude of me, I'm sorry, Al.
You're fine. It's a TIF rebate, so they actually have to create the value added in the property, pay their taxes, and then a portion of it goes back to them. If they don't meet expectations, we can only pay, and you'll see in that sliding scale, we only pay so much a year based on what they actually produce. And we have a not-to-exceed amount. That's been pretty standard for us in a lot of these economic development deals.
The city learned a lesson the hard way, way
Well, I was
back on
hoping
this
so.
property.
Yeah.
So-
It still looks like a blank check when you go 10% of the total,
up to.
Well, it's,
10%.
it's 10% of development costs over 10 years. If their development costs, for argument's sake, are $5 million, they get $500,000 back. 90% of the taxes they pay the first year, 80% the second year, 70%. Well, if they only create $10,000 worth of taxes each year, they're probably not going to hit 500,000 over 10 years. So it's going to fall back on them to produce it. The city's protected in that we are only giving a portion of the property tax valuation based on this scenario. It would be similar to what we've done with Wapsie Valley Creamery, Gators, Prees.
Those were established businesses.
In those cases, yes, they are. But they still have to produce to enjoy the benefit.
And
This would be
grow,
the same.
and grow.
And grow.
I spoke with my son last night. He and a bunch of other ones. They started out with Cush Bottles. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Cush Bottles, $4 billion CBD and marijuana company in Los Angeles and stuff. And then when that broke up, then he and a group of other investors formed a company, American Marijuana Packaging. And he's located in St. Louis and stuff. And he was very hesitant about the hemp as far as the market volatility and distribution
And that was on the CBD side, right?
CBD and the hemp with the clothing.
Okay, this is all, this
One of
is,
his
yeah,
friends did the hemp with the clothing and stuff.
right. I'm already showing that there is a market around here, though. You know, obviously, if we already have a company in Nebraska, how much of our crop do we want to just send to another state?
But like he said, and when he was out in Seattle, he said in Tacoma, in Seattle, the same company went belly up 4 times, and so 4 different investors restarted it and ended back up at Tacoma, went to Seattle twice and then back to Tacoma.
And see, a lot of that Tacoma and all that area, it's all CBD. It's not the industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, again, we have to perform before it costs the city more. I have to put more into this community than to even get this going. And where it helps me is that if I know the city backs, then also I'm going to be working with the local, you know, banks. I also have outside investors that are going to be working with us. So, you know, again, all of that money will come into this community, you know. And you got to remember, I have no reason. I grew up showing horses right here, you know, with Roushes. I also,
Well, I appreciate, I think we all understand,
Yeah.
you've done your homework, you're the one investing the money. City is just simply saying, we'd like to help you if you get off the ground. I think we've had discussion, I would call for a roll call vote. I appreciate you coming.
thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you. Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Right, motion carries. Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is a resolution providing for private placement and issuance of taxable general obligation corporate Purpose Bond Series 2022 and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. Al?
I'm going to ask that you recognize Maggie Berger from Spear.
Well, we recognize me.
Thank you all very much. I'm Maggie with Spear Financial. Just before you pass this resolution or you take action on this resolution, we're here tonight to recommend the proposal from Bank Iowa of Independence, Iowa for the $700,000 of taxable general obligation corporate purpose bond series 22. This has to do with some incentives that you have coming. They are TIF incentives. This is giving you the money upfront to be able to pay those TIF incentives out and get those TIF dollars back over the next 5 years. It is a 5-year repayment, and Bank Iowa had a proposal of 3.06% all the way down those 5 years. The true interest cost is 3.0589%, just when you calculate everything out on that 5-year period. The reason that they are taxable is these are incentives that are private purpose, and so that has a taxability when we do your general obligation bonds for public infrastructure, roads, bridges, water, sewer. It has a public use and not a private use, and so Bond Council has deemed these taxable. So I would say this interest rate, based on taxability in our discussions with the bank, is higher than what you would see at a tax exempt rate, but you also have the flexibility of being able to pay these bonds off in whole or in part at any time with 30 days notice. And so that gives you that flexibility that if the TIF dollars come in sooner than you anticipate, if you do not spend all of the dollars, you will be able to pay them back sooner than later than within holding them for the full 5 years. So based on the information and the markets in today's world, we are recommending that you would award today through this resolution to Bank Iowa at the 3.0589% true interest rate.
Okay, any questions for Maggie?
I'd make a motion that we approve it.
Second that.
Okay, first motion, second, roll call.
Hannah,
Thank you, Maggie.
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Next item, number C, resolution setting the date for public hearing and additional action on proposal to enter into general obligation loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder. Motion would be for setting the public hearing April 11th, 2022 at 5 p.m. For public hearing, additional action on proposed to enter into general obligation loan agreement to borrow the money.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
That would be the public hearing for the 700,000.
yes.
No,
No, what?
no, this is separate. This is allowing us to reuse, move $50,000 from our previous borrowing from the essential function to the general purpose side of borrowing. In other words, we have money that we did not spend on street improvements that we can now use on trail improvements, but they are two different classifications. We need the public's permission to use it for a general purpose instead of an essential purpose. So it is just repurposing money we already have. The language suggests that we're going out and reborrowing it. We're not, but we have to change the purpose.
But we wouldn't have to use it at all, would we?
You don't have to use it at all, no, that is correct. But again, this was the discussion that we had at the last, I think it was the last meeting where we talked about moving it from the street project that we did not do to trail projects. And when we worked through the numbers, 50,000 would be the most that we would have to use there if we wanted to. But we have to repurpose it.
So clarification for Mike, though, is B, did we approve borrowing the 700? We had the public hearing for that?
That's all done.
Yeah, that's done. I thought, that's.
Right, no,
Okay.
everything is done with the 700,000 except signing the
Okay.
paperwork and
Just
cashing the
wanted to make
check.
sure what we were. So this one is for taking money from one bucket and putting it into another bucket?
But
Exactly.
I thought we borrowed enough money for the trails.
We borrowed enough money total, but we have some change orders and some additional money on the Liberty Trail South expansion because we took the alternate, the bid alternate, and so the 370,000 was 401,000, I think was the final bid on that. as an example.
So this is just to set the public hearing to discuss whether we want to repurpose the use of this money. Because we borrowed it for one reason, now we want to use it for another reason.
Correct.
And the trail cost turned out to be more than what we had originally,
We put into the bond issuance $370,000 for Liberty Trail South expansion.
okay.
The total bid came in at just over $401,000. If you don't want to use the bond proceeds for it, then we use existing fund balance to pay for it. This would allow us to use the bond proceeds to pay the difference.
I thought the stopgap was, if we were short of money, was we just weren't gonna cross the road and connect north.
That was an option that we had available to us. The council chose to take the bid alternate and do the entire trail project because instead of $520,000, it came in at $401,000.
But we didn't know that there was insufficient funds to,
Well, we had the funds. What we're doing here is, now that the street project was not done, we have other monies that we can use for it and then not have to
Correct.
to use funding. We had the money for it. This just is money we've borrowed that'll be sitting there that we might as well use to pay for the rest of the trail cost that was above what we originally thought it was going to be. But we had the money for it to start with. Just didn't borrow enough. We had the other money for it.
Correct. And this sets a public hearing to move that. If you choose not to, council has the right to do it.
I'd remind the council, we have some very long discussions about resolutions setting public hearings. Just remember, you're not making any decisions when you set the public hearing. You're setting the public hearing so you can then have the discussion and decide what to do on it.
Okay, so I have a motion to set a public hearing for April 11th at 5 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Motion
I
second.
already got the motion second, I just need a roll call.
Okay. Roll call?
Kurtz?
Yes.
Prusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
no.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
No.
All right, motion to set the public hearing passes. Next, we move on. We move on to resolution authorizing closure of a specified portion of Highway 150, which is from 5th to 8th.
I'd make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All right, roll call?
Prusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Right, motion carries. Next, we have a motion to approve a resolution that assesses a property owner for Chapter 136.03, removal of snow, ice, and accumulated failure to comply.
So moved.
Second?
I had one question on this.
All right,
Out of all the places in town, there was only one place that we shoveled snow this year?
No, there was more.
There's been
This is
others.
the third resolution
Yeah.
for snow assessments.
third
Third resolution,
for some, an entity,
right.
third entity.
Three different properties.
I'd have to look back on my
No.
table, but there's been more than the one property, though, that has been assessed for
There was
snow
a different
removal.
one last month,
Yeah.
or last meeting.
And we need to up this because a lot of sidewalks don't get done and we don't do them. And then we do the same one or two over and over and over.
Okay, why don't we put that on one of our workshops on how to get this going better. Okay, we have first and a second. Roll call?
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Prusader?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Next item is a motion to approve a resolution for a wage adjustment for the associate clerk effective April 11th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a second. Roll call?
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Brusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Next item is motion to approve a resolution that would approves an amendment to the TIF LMI set-aside administrative plan. Do you have a motion?
I'd make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Al, do you want to explain the amendments?
Yeah, the tax increment financing low and moderate income set-aside administrative plan requires an amendment to allow us to do a couple of different things. One is we're raising the maximum amount per owner-occupied rehab from $7,500 to $10,000. We're seeing some increased costs. We want to make sure we have enough to cover that. It also adds a provision in here that would allow us to enter into funding an agency, for example, Habitat for Humanity, up to $25,000, I think is what we put in there. We don't have to go that high, but if we have a Habitat for Humanity project and they wanted to come in and rehab an existing property, we could do a little bit more there to help them out if we so choose.
A couple of young people have approached me about, are we going to offer the down payment assistance again?
We do have that already built into the plan, the exact,
They said 25,000 won't cut on a new property.
what would the council like a down payment assistance project to look like?
I think that's pretty generous.
Oh, I do too, but
I do too.
Especially if they match.
I can see where they might say it won't cut it, but they got to have some skin in the game, too.
Right,
well, they would, but
right. If they matched it, I mean, that's,
That's pretty nice
the
down
houses,
payment.
but I mean, the houses are over 300,000 now, if you look like,
Mike, I would challenge that. $300,000 house, maybe in some neighborhoods, yes, but like you said, a
just
young
down by the
person-
pool.
Well, I would be happy to sell one for half that. That would be a great house for them to
Oh,
live in.
Okay,
This doesn't have to be a new home, does it?
No.
No, so,
no, this is for an existing property.
We have a total of $200,000 in the budget this year of low to moderate income set aside that we've built up over the last 3 years, 4 years. So how do we invest that $200,000 is really what the council's going to have to ultimately wrestle with. This plan specifies how you intend to do it. If you want to raise the amount from 25,000 to something higher, you would want to put that into the plan as well. Because this is where we have set originally the down payment, excuse me, the down payment assistance at 25. It did take us just short of 3 years to do 3 projects the last time on the down payment assistance side. It took us about 3 months to do the homeowner rehab.
I guess if somebody wants to raise the down payment, they can make a motion for an amendment at this point. If not, we've got a motion and a second. I'd have a roll call on as it stands.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
Brusader?
yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes,
Jensen?
Yes.
And I personally am really happy with this LMI program. 14 years ago, I mentioned, let's help existing home sales, and people looked at me like I needed to be helped. And it really has been a benefit, I think, for people selling an existing home. So, okay, the next item is motion to approve a resolution that approves the professional services contract with Bolton and Mink for the Airport Awos project. Have a motion?
I'll make
So
the
moved.
motion. Second.
First and a second. Any comments or questions?
how much is the AWAS going to cost us?
We're going to get to that here in another agenda item. We had very good bids on it, but this is the professional services agreement for doing that project.
Okay, and we had that in our document here, documents on that. Okay, I call for a roll call.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
All right, next item is motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearings for the airport Awos project.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, motion to hold the public hearing on this.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are now in public hearing. Any written,
I didn't receive anything.
anyone have any comments?
Will this be paid for with the money we get every year from the,
This is a federally 90-10 matched FAA funding, yes.
okay, so the 10% we have has to come out of our budget?
That's correct. It is in our CIP.
So what does that entail?
Our 90%,
Or 10%?
or our 10%, I think about $18,000. With where the bids came in at. You know, as far as the plans and specs and the purpose of the public hearing, the Awos is the automated weather observation system at the airport. Ours is obsolete, and this would upgrade that. We did take have a bid alternate in there for replacing the concrete foundation and the conduit as well. And so that's all in the plans and specs, and I think you'll see when we get to the bids that it was kind of a no-brainer to accept the whole project. But at this point, this is recommended by the FAA, and the design is approved by them as well. So
This is something we've been waiting for quite a while to
we've
get
been working on this.
this done. All right, any other comments? If not, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are now out of public hearing. Takes us to the resolution. A motion to approve a resolution that finally approves, it's kind of interesting, finally approves and confirms the plan specifications, form of contract and estimate of cost for the airport Awos project.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and a motion and a second, roll call?
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
I'm glad we finally got that passed. That's
Is that
strange
painful?
wording in there.
Different kind of wording, yes.
Yes. All right, next item, consideration of the bids for the airport Awos project.
You'll see in the packet the letter from Bolton and Mink recommending Voltmer as the low bid at $155,709.75. That includes the base bid and alternate A combined. They were significantly lower than the next closest bid, which was K&W Electric. Voltmer is the preferred contractor, if you want to call it that. They've done the most Awos replacements in the state of any company out there. They know what they're doing. If you had to pick somebody that is an expert in that field, these folks seem to meet that. So it is a good contractor, and they've worked with them several times. And
No. because
Bolton and
Rick
Mink
said it
strongly
was
recommends that you approve the bid with Bolton.
Okay,
Why, may I ask, are they so much lower than the other bids?
Because they've done so many.
Okay.
It's just, they've done it over and over again, and they know what they're doing. They come in, they expect they'll be in and out in 10 days. So, pretty quick turnaround. But again, their comment was just familiarity with what they're doing.
all right. We'll move on to the next item if there's no further questions or comments. Motion to approve a resolution that awards the contract for the airport Awos project to Voltmer, Inc. in the amount of $155,709.75.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, roll call.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution that awards the contract for the downtown facade Phase 1 project to Cornerstone for the total bid amount of $783,000.
Make the motion to approve it.
Okay, first and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Right, motion carries. Next, motion to approve a resolution that awards the contract for the downtown facade COVID-19 project to Cornerstone in the bid amount of $634,000, $634,069. Motion?
This does not include any of the ARPA money.
This is no ARPA money at all. This is strictly the facade grant. We have the $700,000 that we did earlier is our upfront
Our
TIF money for our contribution toward these. So there is no ARPA money in this.
Okay. And we received 2 grants for it, was that?
We have Phase 1, which was the original one, and then the federal government put out a COVID grant, which was a second one.
Yeah.
We have to treat them as 2 separate projects. So this is an unusual year. Usually they don't do 2 standalone projects like that.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, roll call?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Motion carried. Motion to approve change order number 1 for the downtown facade COVID-19 project in a deduct amount of $31,500.
Both of these next 2, pardon me, Mayor, we have to do change orders because it was submitted to the state and approved by the state in a set dollar amount. The property owner has asked for, in both of these cases, work that was in there. One is an alternate, one is second-story work that is not required. They've asked to have a portion of that pulled out. So we have to do change orders to pull that out of the total project cost, which lowers the city's contribution, the homeowner's contribution, as well as the CDBG grant amount. So I apologize for the change orders. It's a part of the routine we have to go through on both of these.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second that.
Okay, first and a second. We don't have Carl here. He always got deducts. So, okay, roll call?
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Right, next item is motion to approve change order number 2 for the downtown facade COVID-19 project in a deduct amount of $23,500.
Make a motion. Second.
First and second, roll call.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Next item, motion to set a public hearing for April 11th, 2022 at 5 PM to amend Code Section 167.05 Floodplain Management Standards. Again, this is just setting the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion to set a public hearing for April 25th, 2022 at 5 PM for the fiscal year 2022 budget amendment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, first and second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Is this the
Opposed?
last one for the year then?
Budget amendment? Yes.
Yeah. All right, next item is
No, go ahead. I was just knocking on wood
What, are
because he
you
said,
like-
is this the last
Are
one?
you like teaching geometry that is supposed to be final except?
Right, right.
All right, next. You threw me out of my rhythm here. All right, motion to approve the first reading of the amendment to Code Section 17.028. Currently reads, council committees confirm mayor's appointment of city council committee members. The city council shall govern and enforce the City of Independence Council Committee structure, responsibilities, and operational guidelines.
What are we gonna replace it with?
Yeah, what,
This is to eliminate the ordinance that requires city council committees.
okay,
You do have a memo from the city attorney attached to this agenda item that references the question that was asked, but this would repeal the entire code section. Specifically, city code is not probably the most appropriate place to deal with city committee structure. We do also have it referenced in our policies, which can be done by resolution as well. But this action simply repeals that section of the city code dealing with council committees.
Then
okay.
how, what will replace it?
You didn't want them.
I know, but are we gonna have,
If
committee of the whole will be the
we already have,
informational
the committee of the whole that's already in place.
with department
This-
heads and information?
Correct. If the council decides that they want to revert back to some form of committee structure, they would do that as a policy per our current city policy adopted by resolution. We haven't addressed that yet. This is simply the code section. It's fairly unusual to have it in a code section of city code as opposed to a policy, but that would be the council's determination at that point. My recommendation is to repeal this, remove it from the city code, and if you decide you want to do something with committees, we do that through resolution in our existing policy structure, which you have the right to do at any time.
I'd make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All right, on this now, it's a roll call.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
I guess I don't fully understand it, to be honest. We can still go back to our meetings if we want to have them, is that right?
You should have received the confidential memo from me. I don't think this is anything that, we can't talk to about a bit here. Basically, this abolishes your standing committee structure you were working under to make way for the new committee of the whole structure that involves everyone under the council's rules. If the council desires to create a set of rules or procedures to govern the committee or the appointment of standing committees, or sorry, ad hoc committees or task force or things of that nature, beyond what you would kind of revert to using Robert's Rules of Order, you have the ability to do that through a resolution modifying your rules of procedure, the little handbook that governs what we all do here. So in my opinion, this is surplusage in the code that would be nice to go away, and it makes it easier in a sense for you to modify your own governance by resolution through your policies as opposed to ordinances that require 3 readings and all of this rigmarole.
Was that an email you sent us?
It is attached to your agenda item under the executive content.
Yeah, you had to sign in to see it. Just going in doesn't show it.
Yeah, I never got to see it, so this new laptop, I haven't gotten emails and,
Basically, what we're looking is, for example, I went back and took a look here on April 24th of 2017. The council had asked the mayor to put together a study committee, an ad hoc committee on a police station location, which at that time then she requested that I put together a group, but that was after the council had said, we need more information. Council said to the mayor, put together this committee. I think that's what you're talking about, Steve, that we can do that through our committee of the whole if we feel we need to have a broader information search on it.
Right, and that could be as simple as during your committee of the whole, someone making a motion to appoint a task force consisting of, they could name 3 people, propose those, there could be a council vote. Alternatively, you could ask that the mayor appoint and delegate that authority, but that authority originates and resides in the council, which it can either utilize or delegate. And I imagine there's circumstances where both would be appropriate.
And we could make that recommendation at the committee of the whole and then vote, have a motion at the next committee meeting to do it.
Did everybody else see that email?
I don't think it was an email, Deb, it's just an attachment.
It was it's an attachment on the agenda item. It was not an email that you received separate. It
I don't
is,
think I can get it to come up now.
I can't get it to come up on mine either.
It's not up on mine right now.
I shouldn't have.
it's under the administrative content.
That's not it.
Did you see it, John?
He's somehow in public view, he's not.
This is a printed copy, Deb.
Oh, well, I got to log
Underneath,
back in.
Yeah, it's actually underneath the roll call information.
Confidential memo.
I would point out that this is also first reading. It will take 3 readings to repeal this, as it does with any ordinance.
And you're suggesting we vote yes? Is that what I'm-
Yes, I don't think it.
I'll say yes, we got 2 more readings, like you said, so we can get this going.
Okay, do we have a,
I'm doing roll calls right now.
yeah, we have motions.
Yeah, motion and second.
Okay.
Kurtz,
We're in the middle of roll.
Yes.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
I've got it now.
All right,
Sorry
first,
about that, everybody.
Nope, that's good.
first reading passes. All right, next item is motion to approve police union memorandum of understanding related to wages. That we had to do this because of the contract. So this just simply says, they say, fine, we'll take the raise.
I was going to say, it probably wasn't a difficult.
Yeah, so do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Okay, roll call?
Hannah,
Yes,
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes,
All right, motion carries. Next item, motion to approve Public Works Union memorandum of understanding related to wages. Same thing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second, roll call?
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
yes,
Hannah.
no,
Okay, motion carries. Next item is motion to approve the street department to start the process to purchase a 2022 John Deere 544P wheel loader. Motion?
Was that the best bid they got?
Well, do we need a motion and a second?
motion. I'll second.
Okay, discussion, Mike?
I wonder if that was the best bid that was available. You know, Brad? Typically, John Deere is much higher than like a Case.
I wasn't actually involved in the bidding, but I seen all the paperwork, and dollar for dollar, yes, it was a little bit higher, but we're getting a better piece of equipment. And we had the opportunity to have this for a week, and it's it's a superior machine.
To the case.
Yeah, compared to the case. And in the long run, if the case may be, we have a better warranty on the DPF. So therefore, we could end up, we have the 5-year X amount of hours, but then we have a 5-year 10,000 hours on the DPF, and if we have to change that, you're talking lots and lots of money there.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, roll call?
Prusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
All
Kurtz.
Yes.
right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is motion to approve the police department to start the process of obtaining a new canine. This arises out of the current canine reaching retirement age and a need to bring in a new canine. So,
Make the
Chief
motion.
Neidert,
Second.
we have a first and a second. Chief?
So this is just what we talked about over the last couple of months. The money is coming strictly from the Canine Donation Fund, and right now we have a bid at $13,500 from Mid-Michigan Canine, and that's where we received our last canine from. This starts that process, and I would assume that this animal will be shipped over from Poland sometime coming up in June, July, and then the training will start in August for a canine handler. So again, there's no money coming out of the general fund on this. This is all donation monies.
Oh, so we don't pick the dog's just sent to us?
Yeah, so what Mid-Michigan does is they go over and they look at these dogs and they know the temperament of them, and then they bring them over. So they know they're suitable for that. And then when they bring it over, then they match it up with the handler. And I'm not sure, Deb, but I do think like Mid-Michigan has several dogs there. So if once that dog comes from Poland, it's not acceptable for whatever reason, he's got other dogs as well. Because just like a car dealer, some people order them, some people just come up and get them. Well, we're kind of ordering one at this point, but there'll be a possibility that there'd be another one there. But the company that we've worked with, Mid-Michigan, Officer Cass has great trust in him and has talked with him over the last
So
few
does
years.
Cass go to Michigan to?
Yep, and all that is included within that 13,500. What I will see on my training side budget would be meals and hotel stay. Otherwise, everything else is covered under that 13,500.
Okay, any other questions for Chief?
What breed of dog is that again?
We had this discussion, I think.
It's the,
Belgian Shepherd, I think, but don't quote me on that, but we're gonna have about the same dog that we had before.
Okay.
It's gonna be seamless. We
I
could
know
probably
it
even
was a
trick,
different one.
we could probably even trick some people with it, I'm thinking.
It'll be cute, Tom, don't worry.
okay, roll call.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Prusader.
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, you're just going to stay here for the next one. Motion to approve the police departments to start the process of ordering a new squad. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Chief?
This is built into the 2023 CIP budget that you've all approved. The reason I'm coming before you now is we're in a different time than we would be every other year. Every other year, we would have approved it, and I wouldn't be looking to purchase this or get the purchasing process started till June. We can't do that. We have to get it ordered now to get our name in line. I've already had talks with Rydell. They'll order it. If it comes in before July, he'll sit on it for me and wait, because he understands as a city, we can't be expending money that we don't have within that 2023 budget, and so that's where we're gonna be at. But this gets me the possibility to get it started now, and then to also talk with my supplier, the outfitter for the rest of that squad, to get those items ordered far enough ahead of time, because right now, the new squad that we purchased and got in, I'm still driving back and forth because there's one item that's missing, so we can't put it out on the street until that's there. This will help me to avoid some of that, and this will be the best for my people.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, roll call?
Jensen,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Brusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Brian, you've been waiting back there very patiently. Nikki hasn't driven you crazy yet, has she?
No, she was hoping she'd get to talk though tonight.
Oh,
No, you
Oh,
have her on
you-
the agenda.
you're
or
first,
not?
Brian.
All right, I'll go first. 3 items for you tonight. Highway 150 is the first. Dave Schmidt Construction, as hopefully all of you have seen, is scheduled to close the first segment of Phase 2 tomorrow morning. They've got the message boards in place, and the sign bases have been placed, and they'll be standing them up tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock is the schedule. So we did have a kickoff meeting last week up here at City Hall. It was a full house. Everybody had the opportunity to ask questions to get things in line, and I think they're ready to get going, which is good news, that they're going to start this early with the removals. I won't guarantee you that they'll finish early, but this segment, or I'm sorry, this phase is actually shorter than last year's project, so hopefully they'll come in ahead of that. November
Brian
1st
didn't
date.
hear the comment, but he agreed to let us put his home phone number on each of the detour signs. Did I make a mistake on that, Brian?
Yeah, strike that from the notes. Strike that from the minutes.
For TV Land, this is the same group that did 150 last year and did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for mentioning that.
How long is this phase supposed to be before they close it?
How long will this segment be closed? It'll be closed until they get the paving done on it, and they're not allowed to open the third segment until they've got the first segment completed. So their schedule, go ahead, Al.
I just want to remind everybody, they can open it up to local traffic, but the detour is still a global detour, and our preferred detour route will stay in place throughout the entire project until all 3 phases are done. It's just that our local traffic will have the ability to cross it, kind of like we did on the north end of Highway 150 last year. We just can't open it up to the whole world until everything is done.
I think something we need to really stress to the public is you're just going to have to be really patient with this, because with our river coming through town, we have limited detour options. So although we're having a detour through some residential area, there isn't any good alternative. So just please be patient, and we'll do the best we can to get through this.
One thing, Brian, too, questions come up, the Second Street, that's not going to be closed till after the 4th of July?
Correct. They don't anticipate that they'll be to that portion of the project before the 4th of July. I know that was a concern with the 4th of July committee and others, to keep the Second Street intersection open. The contractor has said even if for some reason they're so far ahead of schedule, they would open that back up with the temporary surfacing that's called for in the contract, so that can be open for the 4th of July.
Okay.
And I interrupted you, I think, to answer Deb's question. The end of July is when we would anticipate the possibility of that being open based on the schedule that they gave us. Because they can't start the 3rd phase until that one's open, and their 3rd phase is scheduled to start, I think, July 29th or something on their timeline, so.
And question, how are you doing the dead-end streets to get access to them at all times?
What they'll do there is, as they perform the excavation for the utilities, for example, they'll backfill that with the temporary surfacing that's called for in the contract, so that people can get back in and out. And they are required to notify the residents down there 48 hours in advance of any access disruption, is the way that it's written. And the
that
contractor's prepared
access
to do that.
road you talk about would be for ambulances, fire trucks are able to get in there?
Yes, yep, they'd be able to make it through there, you bet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. On the other, second topic that I have is the 6th Avenue Southwest Trail project. The contractor was out there today, starting on that work. I know the weather doesn't look great here for the rest of the week, but they have been making an effort to get the rest of the excavation, and of course the seeding will follow. So I anticipate that they will probably come to you with another request for an extension that the council can consider as they wrap up the project. I think the extension, part of the terms of the first extension that was granted was you were hoping for a completion date by April 1st, and clearly we haven't had the weather that would allow seeding to occur or the excavation and remaining grading to occur. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but they have been working on it, so. And then the third is related to a future project, and I hope I don't steal the mayor's thunder here, but on March 17th, Mayor Hill and I presented the 2 funding applications to Intercog for the surface transportation through the STBG, that's the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, and we were successful with our presentations in being securing $1.39 million for the First Street West project. So that's
Outstanding.
roughly half of the eligible items on there. It's going to be real similar to Highway 150, where sewer and water are not eligible items, but the items like the pavement, the driveways, the shared use path, storm sewer, those things are eligible. And again, we secured about half of those dollars for that project.
Brian doesn't want to be too modest. My entire contribution was reading notes that he passed to me.
Good job.
It
And,
was teamwork.
and for the general public, that goes from the Wapsipinicon River Bridge on First Street all the way out towards Spahn and Rose, correct?
Got it.
That'll be just
Yeah.
amazing.
That is the last stretch of 1954 curb and gutter on Highway 20. So
And what year's that proposed for?
2026, fiscal 26.
And they did come back, they did tell us the street projects for the 5-year program, we could come back and resubmit those next year for 2025. So we dropped those out to get the First Street West money. So it was a pretty good day for us.
Yep, it was.
You didn't get our tab yet for partying, but
Any questions on any of those 3 projects or any other projects that we got going?
That's great news. Thank you.
thank you,
You're
Brian.
welcome.
Thank you, Brian.
You bet.
And Brian gave me a very nice pen that day. My pen from another engineering firm that I won't name blew up on me. And so I needed a pen, so he gave me one that works.
It's like that one.
I don't know if they'd take it serious, Catherine, with that.
It looks like it comes from
Okay,
Daycare, which is very fitting.
okay, moving on here. We are, yes, to council report. Yep. Okay. Jen,
No.
Tom,
This should have probably been mentioned at the last council meeting, but just wanted to mention to the council people that we need to be careful about quote-unquote nickel and diming our citizens on fees. We talked about the last meeting about increasing the garbage rate fees, which I understand. Had in the past year, increases in sewer and water fees, and Indytel had an increase with their cable, I know that, and there was some other charge too. We just need to be careful. Those additional fees are basically taxes, okay? So just be careful about, we need to be a little more
Okay, thank you, Tom.
cognizant of that,
Good words.
okay?
Deb?
Nothing.
John?
Todd Schertz contacted me about some ideas he has for some stormwater retention project along Malone Creek. He's going to be putting together some information, going to be attending the watershed meeting with me in April. So we'll keep you apprised of what we come up with. We'll hopefully get maybe some funding opportunities on it.
Hey, Brian?
Nothing to add.
Mike?
Well, it's not related to the city particularly, but with the resettlement of refugees in the United States, there's Ukraine websites. So if you can give $1, $5, whatever, those people are 4.5 million, 4.68 million people have vacated the country in the last, up till today. And so anything you can do would be greatly appreciated. There's many women and children that need it.
Human tragedy.
Yeah.
Okay. Catherine?
I just had a couple of things, and I think I mentioned one thing already to you about the dumpster issue. If you could check with Todd Schertz on that, that would be fantastic. There was another an email that I received, and I don't know the process for something like this, but Deb Wessels and Wentbarth had contacted me wondering about a walking trail on the northeast side of Malone Creek, between 5th and 6th Street areas. I don't know what the process is to put that forward for.
I think that would be, we look at that during work sessions and
Okay.
whether,
So just, if that's something that could
Yeah,
be looked at
we
and
can do-
added to that, maybe?
okay, we can look at it work session. Right now, it's not in any of our
No, that's fine, I'm
long-term,
just
but-
bringing it up so that it can be
Okay.
addressed at some point in time.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Al?
Just to point out, if you haven't seen the Northeast Iowa Regional League meeting that was tentatively scheduled for tomorrow is being postponed. The guest speaker was not able to be there, or something came up, so that just came out. If anybody had registered for that, we'll keep you apprised as soon as we hear anything about rescheduling.
Okay. Susie?
Just a reminder to everybody, I do need your signature on a piece of paper, so don't run out of here as soon as he adjourns.
Okay, but I won't run. Okay, I really don't, Dick, are you back there?
Dick had to go to firefighter 1 class that
okay.
he's teaching.
Chief, not, okay,
Brad?
Brad? He doesn't want to come up here a second time? Okay, thank you. I don't really have any comments, and so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, saying aye?
Aye.
We're gone. Don't run.
What do you need, or?